Before you skip, answer this honestly. Is there someone you've never forgiven? Someone whose name still makes your heart heavy? Someone who took something you can never get back? Most people believe forgiveness is something you give to another person, but what if forgiveness is actually the gift you give yourself? This is the story of Daniel, a man who spent 10 years carrying anger that slowly destroyed everything he loved, until the day the person he hated most knocked on his front door. Daniel wasn't always a quiet man. He laughed easily. He trusted people. He believed hard work always paid off. Then one mistake changed everything. Daniel owned a small workshop with his best friend, Ethan. Together they dreamed of building a successful business. One morning, Daniel arrived to find the workshop empty. The machines were gone. The money had disappeared. His best friend had vanished. Ethan had taken everything. The debts and the shame, the blame, were left for Daniel. People whispered behind his back. He must have been involved. No innocent man loses everything that fast. Even those who once called him family stopped believing him. Within months, Daniel lost the business, his home, and nearly lost himself. Every night, he replayed the betrayal over and over. If I ever see Ethan again, I'll never forgive him. Years passed. Daniel worked wherever he could. Construction sites, warehouses, night shifts. His body grew stronger, but his heart became heavier. He smiled less, trusted no one, and built invisible walls around himself. Then, on a cold, rainy evening, there was a knock at his apartment door. Daniel opened it. His breathing stopped. Standing there, soaked by the rain, was Ethan. Older, thinner, his hands trembling, his eyes filled with regret. For several seconds, neither of them spoke. Then Ethan whispered words Daniel never expected to hear. I'm dying, and before I leave this world, I need you to hear the truth. Daniel's heart began pounding. The anger he'd carried for 10 years returned in a single moment. Should he slam the door? Should he finally get his revenge? Or was there a truth he had never known? Daniel wanted to close the door. Every painful memory came rushing back. The empty workshop, the unpaid debts, the nights he went to bed hungry, the people who abandoned him. For 10 years, he had imagined this moment. But now, standing before him wasn't the confident man who had stolen everything. It was someone broken, someone afraid. Daniel finally spoke. Why are you here? Ethan lowered his head. I don't expect forgiveness. I only came because you deserve the truth. Slowly, he reached into his pocket and handed him an old envelope. Inside were faded documents, hospital bills, bank statements, and one photograph. Daniel picked it up. His eyes froze. It was Ethan sitting beside a little girl in a hospital bed. She couldn't have been older than 6. My daughter, Ethan whispered. She was diagnosed with a rare illness. The doctors said she would die without treatment. Daniel looked back at the papers. The dates matched. The money Ethan had taken had paid for her surgery. But, Daniel said, his voice shaking, why didn't you tell me? Ethan closed his eyes. Because I was ashamed. I thought I could replace the money before anyone found out. But everything failed. I lost my daughter anyway. Silence filled the room. For the first time in 10 years, Daniel didn't just see a thief. He saw a father who had made a terrible decision out of desperation. That didn't erase the betrayal. It didn't make what Ethan did right, but it changed the way Daniel saw him. I'll leave now. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness. He turned toward the door. Then Daniel quietly said, "Wait." Ethan stopped. Without saying another word, Daniel walked over and embraced him. Both men broke down in tears. Years of anger, years of guilt, years of pain seemed to disappear in that single moment. Ethan whispered, "I'm sorry." Daniel replied, "So am I." A few weeks later, Ethan passed away. But before he died, he left Daniel one final letter. It read, "You didn't save my life. You saved the part of me that thought I was beyond forgiveness." Years later, people often asked Daniel how he found peace after everything he had lost. They expected him to say, "Time heals," or "Success heals." Instead, he always smiled before answering. "Peace began the day I stopped carrying someone else's mistake inside my own heart." Because forgiveness doesn't rewrite the past. It doesn't pretend the pain never happened. It simply breaks the chains that keep you living in yesterday. So before you leave, ask yourself one question. Who are you still carrying in your heart? Maybe the person waiting to be set free isn't them. It's you.